Has anyone had a celebrity and SFW encounter? What's your story? Met Gary Busey at an airport in Tulsa. Okay. Through a strange course of conversation in which he insulted nearly everyone. He ended with a joke. Gary, did you ever hear about the poor family? Me. No. Gary, they were so poor. They had to jerk off the dog to feed the cat. He then chuckled to himself, grabbed the next taxi, and left us speechless. Friend was pissing next to Shaq at a club in Miami. Of course he can't keep his eyes on the road, and try to sneak a peek at Shaq's junk. Shaq turns to him, smiles and says, "Crazy, right? Big men. Regular dick." Friend of ours is a hotel hospitality manager. She was alone in a room with Russell Brand. He very politely offered to have sex with her. She said her husband was waiting downstairs for her. Brand said he could come up too. I was working on a behind-the-scenes featurette for a movie starring Keanu Reeves and Renée Zellweger. I had to wire the lav under Renee's shirt and clip it to her bra, and I totally accidentally grabbed her boob. She looked me right in the eye and said, "Geez, buy me a drink, okay?" I live in New York City. We normally ignore celebs, but one time I walked past David Blaine. I shouted, "Do a magic trick." He replied, "Try finding your dick. That's magic too." I walked away in silence. In early 2013, a female friend and I went to an after-party that Donald Glover, Childish Gambino, was jing at after one of his concerts in Sydney. After his DJ set, we were smoking outside when Donald exits the venue through a side door. We looked over at him and he immediately approaches us and introduces himself. Right from the get-go, my friend starts flirting with him hard. He asks us if we had any weed. We did, and he invited us back to his hotel to smoke with him. We ended up on the balcony at his hotel suite along with a couple of other guys smoking a blunt. My friend is all over him. I have never seen her try so hard to get with a guy. I could tell from pretty early on that he was not into it at all. He was staring off into the distance and ignoring her or responding with one-word answers. After about half an hour, he stands up and says, "I am going to bed." My friend asks him if she should come, to which he looks her dead in the eye and says, "I honestly don't give a fuck what you do," and walks off. We left soon after that. About a year later, I read an interview with him where he said that he tried to kill himself on that Australian tour. In hindsight, the way he was acting definitely seemed like someone who was depressed. Back in 2003, I worked at the Best Buy in Westwood, LA. Store 327. It's no longer there, but we would get famous people in from time to time. Jessica Alba bought 2 Xbox from me. Told my manager I was great. Christina Aguilera came in a few times. Anyhow, this was back in my weed smoking prime and basically only CA had incredible strains like OG Kush. One night we are closing up and 2 guys are playing Madden on the store's box or PlayStation, and it was Snoop and Method Man. I told them we were closing and they were very friendly and polite. So I said, "Hey guys, I will be outside in like 10 minutes. If you want, I got some OG Kush if you want to smoke. I have an Oldsmobile Alero. Gold color in the lot." They leave. I walk out and sure enough, Snoop and Method Man are parked next to my car. So I got high as fuck with 2 Legends and went home. Me and my dad met Rick Astley. I shook his hand. Said Big Fen Dad didn't shake his hand, sorry. My hands are sticky. Rick smiles and says my hands are usually sticky to then grins. I was 18 and on vacation at the Atlantis in the Bahamas. It was at night, and my friend and I were exploring the grounds. A big black limo pulled up near the main entrance and Vern Troyer, mini-me, stepped out with a beautiful woman and a few big built bodyguards. My friend and I were like, "Oh, we gotta get a picture with him." So we asked him politely and he said yes, but only one. So my friend stood on his left and I stood on his right and the bodyguard took the pic. Disposable camera days. While the picture was being taken, Vern had his left hand firmly planted on her ass and the right hand firmly planted on mine. He was pinching so hard. I guess I can't blame him as our asses or I level for him. So yeah. I was in a very mess of men's room at a venue taking a piss. I was about 15 urinals deep and bathroom was completely empty as far as I could tell. Besides me. In walks Jack Black. He walks right up to the urinal next to me. Nothing weird happened, but I always found it bizarre that he didn't space himself out better. That's a man code violation. Went to the Uta concert in LA a couple years back and saw Pierce Brosnan walking through the parking lot of the Forum. As I walked by, I said, "Bond. James Bond." He gave me the most revolting look and said, "Fucking wonker." Totally made my day. My sister ran into Matthew McConaughey in a bar years ago. They hit it off, and they went back to her place. She got overwhelmed by nerves and said she had to go run out to her car to get something. She sat in her car freaking out for God knows how long until he eventually gave up and left. Must have baffled the poor guy. Did a gig with the band Less Than Jake many years ago as a sound guy. They arrived at the venue. Bigger than life. Promising the whole local crew we'd have a great time. And at the end of the night, beer and blow jobs for all. Can't beat that. Right. Show ends. Truck's loaded. Singer is still hanging around and I walk up to him. He gives me a big hug and says something like, "Didn't I tell you it would be a good time? Didn't I promise?" In fact, it had. It was a good night. But I turned to my new best friend and said it was. But I don't drink and my dick's still in my pants. This place is pretty empty and I am here hugging you. Chris, the singer, isn't a particularly large guy. I am. There was a moment of absolute fear in his eyes as I hugged him tighter until he realized I was just kidding. We ended our embrace. They got into their bus and away they went. Fast forward almost a year. Less Than Jake is playing the Warped Tour and I am in the crowd. During their set, Chris and I make eye contact and he remembers me. How do I know? He proceeds to yell into his mic, "Hey, somebody suck that guy's dick," and then point at me while pretending to blow his microphone. I am still a fan. Saw Tim Allen's mistress sprinting out of his trailer after his wife showed up at the set of one of those Santa Claus movies he was filming. Las Vegas. I am eating lunch with my mother when I spotted Wayne Brady also eating lunch with his mother. I waited until he finished eating before asking for a photograph. iPhones were still fairly new and my sweet mother had never really used one. So as Wayne Brady and I were posing for the picture, my mother pressed the home button to take it. I quickly pulled the camera back up and posed again. She pressed the home button again. Once more I opened the camera app and this time Wayne Brady nicely explained that you have to press the button on the screen for the picture. You guessed it. My mother pressed the home button again, so I thought I would be funny and chime in with, "Is Wayne Brady gonna have to choke a bitch?" No one laughed. It was Mother's Day. My mom didn't know the reference. Got the picture at least. Wayne Brady was a very nice. I rode in a hotel elevator with Red Sox pitcher Derek Lowe at like 2 in the morning, while he was making out with 2 women at the same time. I worked my way through college as a waiter in a gourmet room in Las Vegas. I became acquainted with Florence Henderson, RIP, and she would ask to sit in my station. One evening she had a guest, Joan Rivers, me. Henderson had a favorite wine, Peace Porter, that she always ordered. It just so happened that on our wine list, that wine was labeled as number 69. That's how she ordered it. I will have a bottle of 69. On this night, I approached the table, introduced myself to Mrs. Rivers and made the usual small talk. Then I asked, "So Mrs. Henderson, would you like a little 69 tonight?" Oh my God! Joan Rivers went completely insane. She started screaming and yelling and demanding security to have me fired and arrested, and the whole time, Florence Henderson is trying to calm her down and explain. Long story short, the maitre d' put me in another area not long after I graduated and left that job, and I never forgot that story. This happened in 1985. This is actually from a director I worked with in the 80s. He was hired as a backstage dresser for a Broadway show that had Patti LuPone in it, and it was his first show. I don't remember what the show was, but there was a scene where she runs off stage. He was instructed to stand right off stage and hold his hands out at a very specific position, which is common in quick change situations where an actor might have to hand off or literally throw a costume piece to make their change. What actually happened is that his hands were in the perfect position to get to handfuls of boob. As she ran off stage, she pulled her breasts out so that he would grab them. Apparently she likes pranking new crew members. A guy walked by me at the airport as I sat waiting to board, and kid you not, farted mere inches from my face. I looked up. It was Bon Jovi. Andy Dick tried to pull me into a bathroom after we did some blow together at a party in Hollywood Hills. I pulled away, but he took my best friend who's a total fiend. He never told me what exactly happened. My mom grew up with Rob Lowe as her neighbor. She dated him in middle school and they were apparently found making out in a closet at school one time. She says that he was one of those kissers that uses enough tongue to lick your vocal cords. I was next to the table of Leo DiCaprio at Catch in New York. Saw him get with an 18-year-old MG model, then proceeded to take her home. Saw them leave together like it was nothing. The girl had the biggest smile on her face too. Billy Joe Armstrong. Green Day. Told Trey Cool, their drummer, to suck my dick. Instead, he gave me some orange soda. I am straight. It worked out. Back before they were popular, BJA banged my friend's girlfriend after a show. My friend is still pissed. This was like 25 years ago. I had a friend who met Jason Segel at a bar in LA. She said he was fairly drunk and all over the place with their conversation. At point, he just point blank said to her, "So are we gonna have sex?" She said, "No." He responded okay and then just walked away back to his table. Jason Segel once visited a Starbucks my friend worked at. The friend told me Jason politely asked his coworker if she were interested in a one-night stand. It probably does work often enough. Ezekiel Elliott told me to go fuck myself. I was once sitting in a plane, a row in front of Hulk Hogan. He was extremely hungry and very vocal and cranky about it. Since we had just boarded, the flight attendants could not serve anything yet, and that got him even angrier. I was expecting him to rip his shirt off. My mom had packed some grapes for my baby sister, and decided to offer them to him to calm the Hulk. I have never seen someone wolf down food like that. It was like I was witnessing a sexual encounter between him and the grapes. Thanks for watching. Share your story in a comment.